Hi there, this is Andy from Blessed Man Meditations. Recently, Alex O'Connor from Cosmic Skeptic posted a video containing about 40 arguments for atheism. I have no personal vindictive vendetta against Alex or against any other atheist. I love Alex, and I love all atheists as my fellow people, all created in God's image. But I believe their epistemology is wrong and needs to be responded to. This video will be part of a lengthy series I plan to do in response to each argument Alex makes. So please like this video, comment, and please subscribe. I hope you have a blessed rest of your day.
A new, fast-growing Christian YouTube channel, Redeemed Zoomer, put out a video promisingly called All Atheist Arguments Answered in 10 Minutes. Let's see how he does.
God killed tons of people in the Bible. Well, it's actually way more than that. God numbers everyone's days. He's the giver of life, so he can take it, especially if people sin.
It's a hell of a response to the problem of natural evil. Why does God allow millions of people to die in earthquakes or tsunamis, or indeed kill them himself on purpose? Because he can. He has the right to kill you, so why not? There isn't much I can say to challenge this. Maybe this is just God's right. I don't know.
So Alex objects to the deaths that occur in the Bible and says that God kills people in the Bible, and therefore the God of the Bible should be considered a murderer and should be abandoned. Or this is one argument for atheism, to not believe in God. In the video by Redeemed Zoomer, the atheist in the video says God kills tons of people in the Bible. The Christian responds to that objection by the atheist and says God numbers everyone's days, he gives life and takes it. Alex says that it is problematic that God kills tons of people by natural disasters or some other means, and these means don't seem to have to do with some specific sin. Alex says this to create outrage in his listeners, and he wants his listeners to get angry at the thought that God has the right to kill them whenever he deems it appropriate for him to do so. So in this series, we're going to see if there's any way the Christian can legitimately defend against the skeptical accusation that God maliciously kills people in the Bible. There is a great deal to consider, and the series is going to consist of multiple parts in which we're going to see some responses to this accusation that the God of the Bible is malicious and wicked for killing people. This time we continue the series on the issue of God killing people in the Bible, where we respond to Alex's objection in his video, Every Argument for Atheism. This time we look at a different article that asks, why did God kill 25 million people? That God killed 25 million people is not the fact that needs to be considered. Hence, 25 million is not a number to be concerned about. Instead, the concern is about God's justice. Better question is, was God just in killing a large number of people as recorded in the Old Testament? Justice is God's ontologically necessary attribute. So God cannot unjustly kill even one person. God cannot be unjust. Since God created everything, including humans, and because God is just, God alone has the sole authority to give and take life. All that matters is if God has revealed morally sufficient and justifiable reasons for eliminating lives. To examine this issue, two introductory remarks are essential. First, the Bible records God's killings. If God is evil and unjust, he need not have allowed his people to record those deaths. that God allowed the deaths of people to be recorded in his revelation to mankind suggests that he is a just God. Sure, if he was wanting to protect his image, he could have had them withhold those records from the inspired record. He doesn't need to protect his image. It's already perfect. Second, this hue and cry about God being a ruthless killer is prominently posited by atheists. Their intent is to establish that God does not love, for if he loved, he would not have killed, and hence there's no such thing as a loving and just God. Although an atheist ridicules God for ordering killing and being involved in killing in the Bible, the atheist cannot reasonably explain the evil in our world. If an atheist is questioned about evil and the cause of evil in the world, the atheist's most reasonable response would be that people are merely dancing to the music of their DNA, or evil just happens. This is the best atheist answer to the problem of evil. Do these answers genuinely satisfy a rational mind? No, they do not. As much as atheists love to excoriate God, much to the chagrin of believers, atheists consistently fail to posit reasonable responses. But they vehemently and irrationally deny the rational responses posited by Christians. Hypocritically so. A just God has morally sufficient reasons to kill people. Because he has morally sufficient reasons, God is justified, and no one can fault God. What then is one morally sufficient and justifiable reason for God to kill someone? Well, the Bible shows us in multiple places how God can kill wicked and unrepentant people. Take, for instance, the Canaanites. Who were they? The Canaanites were wicked. They were wicked because they practiced idolatry, witchcraft, soothsaying, sorcery, incest, adultery, child sacrifice, homosexuality, and bestiality. Most of those things listed there, most people would agree, are universally wrong. For instance, child sacrifice. For instance, bestiality. The Christian obviously would agree that everything in that list is wrong. But for the sake of common ground, we'll just pick those two. But wasn't there a chance for these people to repent and be good? Yes, there was. Genesis 15 teaches that God refrained from his judgment upon the Canaanites for 400 years, during which time God's own people languished in slavery. So God let his own people suffer to give his enemies a chance to repent. If the Canaanites did not repent in 400 years, they would not have repented even if God had given them another 400 years. But God is omniscient. God possesses middle knowledge as well. Thus God knew precisely that the Canaanites would not repent. Hence, he judged them. What about children who were killed? Was God unjust to let children die? No. Death is a gateway to heaven or hell. When children die, God in his grace takes them into his own presence. The biblical precedent for that is when David lost his first son with Bathsheba. So the death of children is in fact their salvation. Children who die will be with God in heaven. Just as how the owner of a building possesses all the authority to demolish the building, God, the owner of every life, possesses all authority to create and eliminate life in the manner he chooses and at the time he chooses. Instead of allowing the children to grow in the Canaanite practice, God, in his mercy, took them away, and by doing so, favored the children from an eternal perspective. Sometimes life is not always the preferred end. Sometimes death is the preferred end, and this is an example of death being the preferred end. Having said this, let us engage some objections. Objection number 1. God killed millions, but Satan killed only 60. This objection accuses God as the greater evil. Since the source of the data for this objection is the Bible, it's only reasonable that we posit a response from the Bible. The Bible refers to Satan as evil. Satan opposes God. The Bible terms Satan as an accuser, tempter, and a deceiver. If Satan opposes God, and if God's an evil killer, as proclaimed by the atheists, then Satan would be intrinsically good. But Satan is not good. Instead, Satan is purely evil. Therefore, the inverse condition is more reasonable, i.e., since Satan, the evil being, opposes God, God should be intrinsically good. God is sovereign, whereas Satan is not sovereign. It's also evident from the Bible that Satan's not independent of God. Satan can't kill anyone without God allowing him to. Therefore, attribute the 60 or whatever number that one credits Satan with into God's account. Every death caused by Satan can be reasonably explained. Consider Job's family that was killed by Satan. God allowed it for a particular reason. While God commends Job's righteousness, Satan accused Job of being godly and righteous for selfish reasons. If the godliness of a righteous man in whom God delights can be shown to be a terrible sin, then redemption is unimaginable, for the godliest of godly will be the most ungodly. More importantly, God's judgment about Job's righteousness would have been proven erroneous. Therefore, God allows Job's travails. And true to God's commendation, Job emerges godly and righteous after that severe trial. Satan was proven to be a false accuser. A just human judge does not murder when he sentences a convict to death. Instead, the judge pronounces a judgment upon a law offender. A judge has the authority to sentence a criminal to death, if the said criminal is a proven offender of the law. The Creator God can eliminate life when he determines is the appropriate time and reason according to his perfect knowledge and justice. God does not murder when he eliminates life. God judges people for violating his laws. The consequence of God's judgment is death initiated by God. Objection number 3. Why did God not offer Sodom and Gomorrah 400 years to repent? We posit God's deferral of judgment upon the Canaanites for 400 years as justification for the Canaanite massacre, but this act of God requires greater understanding. God is omniscient. He knows everything with respect to the past, present, and future. God possesses middle knowledge as well. God would have known that even in 400 years the Canaanites would not repent. So to infer that God hoped for the Canaanites to repent and believe in him was incorrect. Why then did God wait 400 years to judge the Canaanites? On the one hand, God waited 400 years, but on the other hand, God punished Sodom and Gomorrah quickly. Why? Both Canaanites and the residents of Sodom and Gomorrah were guilty of sins against God. Neither of them repented before God's judgment, so it was morally sufficient and justifiable for God to judge them both for their sins. The Bible teaches us, will not the judge of all the earth do right? God, for reasons that are just, but best known to him, defers judgment upon people according to his will. But the Bible does provide a clue about God's judgment of the Canaanites and Sodomites. In Genesis 15, God says that the sin of the Amorites had not yet reached its full measure. So God waited for the sins to reach their full measure to pronounce judgment upon the Amorites, a Canaanite clan. Similarly, it's possible that the sins of Sodom and Gomorrah had reached their full measure when judgment was pronounced. Every objection posited against God can be reasonably answered. When a mind compulsively argues against God, that mind does not innately desire to comprehend God. This mind has rejected God. This mind, as long as it continues to reject God, will not comprehend God, barring a divine intervention in the likeness of an intervention on the road to Damascus. Then there are honest objections against God. These objections are from a mind that earnestly desires and seeks to comprehend God and his actions in this world. An infinite being's actions in this world are not effortlessly comprehensible by finite minds such as yours and mine. Therefore, our starting point is to earnestly seek God in all humility for all our doubts and confusions. When we honestly seek him, we will find him. That is the end of part 3. Please stay tuned for the additional parts in this series. Thank you for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and have a blessed rest of your day.